Hey folks, Jason Dukes, Dirt Race Life. This video is a continuation of our build on our Crate Racing USA Street Stock. Previously, we had put in the rear main hoop of our roll cage. This video, we're gonna put the halo in over our head and the two front down bars. Stick around. Check this out on the halo. So on this halo, I've got it drawn out here on the board, and it's basically a 30-inch by 30-inch square is what it is. But I wanted to show you a consideration that you need to take into account, and it's a safety thing that I think is important. I looked at and I said, okay, where is my seat going to be and where is my head going to be? And I know that for me, I'm going to mount my seat parallel in line with the steering box. So my steering sector, I'll come straight out with my steering sector, and all of my steering column coming up through here, I'll make sure it's parallel straight with the length of this frame. And when I took the measurements and everything, I dropped a plumb bob where that was going to be, because this is where my helmet will be. And this is a consideration. If I was to take and put this halo, and so if I came over with this top bar for this halo all the way to the top of this corner right here, I'm going to be right over my helmet. And so even though I've put several inches between the top of my helmet and the top of the roll cage for safety, if I get into a violent wreck and this car is rolling and I'm flipping, especially at my weight and my big size, I'm going to really stretch the seat belts. All of the slack that's there, anywhere that anything can tighten up, any give in that belt material at all, it's all going to come out during a violent wreck. And for that reason, you know, you don't want to take and have a situation to where, like, even if I was, you know, during, like, say I land upside down on top of the car, you don't want to stretch to the point that you are impacting this. I don't want to depend on putting roll bar padding on a tube as a safety. To me, that's something you do to deal with a situation that's already in place that you can't fix. The better solution is to design your roll cage where that you won't hit those tubes to start with, instead of trying to pad them, because you can still break stuff against padded tubes. And for that reason, in this design, the way I designed this, I take and I turn that leg 45 degrees right here. So what we're going to do is it's going to be a 30 by 30 square, but we're going to turn in at a 45 on this corner, where this 30 inches is all the way out at this edge over here, and it'll turn back. And we'll put a gusset and a short tube in here, so this corner will become a very strong, it'll be all full of triangles in this corner when it's over, because this is the critical point in your roll cage. This corner and the front corner here, very critical points in your roll cage. Lots of triangles will be here, but it's going to turn in. Now I'll come straight in right here. Because this is a 45, I can catch it and get my true 30 inches across. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the outside of the halo and the outside of this tube to be at the same angle, or the same parallel across this face right here. And so and then I roughed in my measurements, just figuring up, you know, 6 inches and 26 inches. And you see it's 29, not 30. And this is in tubing, so I'm looking at how much tubing to use. And the 31 is because I'm going to run this over and I'll trim it back. And that's because I gained some tubing when I go through these corners. And so I was just figuring up my measurement using my cheater tubing. So let's get building on that one and get it on the car. Watch out, Molly. Come on, get back. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Get back. There you go. I'm going to put my first 6 inches off this end. In it goes. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do 45, and then I'm going to come up and do 90, and I'm going to come up again and do another 90. Simple, easy. This is the easy part. One more 45. We're good. Let's go. Going up to 90 on this one. So I'm finishing up bending this halo right here. And what I wanted to point out, make sure you're keeping your magnetic level with you. Every bend as you make it, be putting a level on it. Keep everything flat where it's supposed to be flat. That's the easiest way to do it. And at this point, like, we're going to try to pick up some speed as we go through these videos building this roll cage. So I'm going to stop covering just the bending with J squared. Check out my first video. I really got into a lot more detail on it. And you know, I love this thing, but there's a guy that's got a channel called the Fabricator Series or Fabrication Series. I'll put a link below. He is so much better at explaining how to best use this piece of equipment. So I'm going to focus on showing you the details of why we bend something, or like how to go about figuring out which bar to put where. I'll focus on that part and not just using the bender. It's just going to end up eating up a lot of time and doing the same thing over and over. So we are going to back away from that. And you know, like this level that I use, a little promotion here, but I did set up an Amazon affiliate site, and a lot of this little stuff I just buy the cheap versions of the things to do these on the shop tools. Check out my website, www.dirtracelife.com. And I've been just kind of compiling and putting links in to little odds and ends and things that I use. So if something like that would help you, check it out. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Move up the cam number. We'll come around to 90. And this is going to be good to go. That was a little bit much. I'll unspring it by that when I take it out. So like, I'm not worried about a little bit oversprung on something like this. If you overspring something with a short turn in it, like a side door bar, and you don't have but like 3 or 4 inches of tube sticking out, and you overspring it, yeah, you're in trouble. And on this, you know. Yeah. So like, pull you out, and I'll just take it, give it a little lift, and get it where I want it. It's about 30 and a half. Yeah, so. Yep. That's about right. So now what we've got, this tube, this short bend right here is where I've got good room for my helmet, where if I roll this car over, I don't have this bar, this tube, directly over my helmet anymore. I'm going to come straight on this side, but these are long, and what I'm going to do next is take and I will mount this and set the center of this tube 30 inches, center of this tube to center of my main hoop there, and figure out where that's at, and I'll cut those off. And then we will shape them to fit, and we will put some spot welds on it. This next big challenge is the 2 front points of the 4 points of the cage. So I'm going to do this down leg. As you see, we've got our 1.5 inch square tube in where this leg is going to be sitting in. Again, we want that to go all the way across. We don't want to just have a stub sticking out, because in a serious rollover wreck, that's just going to get folded over and pushed down through the bottom of the car. Make sure you use a solid bar if you come in off your frame like this. And the question is how do we go about making sure I want I want this front post to be exactly parallel with my chassis with this rear. How do I hold it in position, and how do I repeat getting in the right place while I work out this angle and this mouth on this lip and everything? And the way I do this, so here's a piece of square tubing, and what I've done, I've clamped it, and then I turn around and I've just welded on, tack welded in some struts to hold it in place. And I took a plumb bob, and I plumb bobbed it back at the back and got my measurement to the jig, and then I plumb bobbed it at the front. And so now this inside edge right here, I know is representing that parallel place that I want to roll the tube at. And so now with the tube, then I turn around, and so like this is 1.5 inches. So this took me a piece of 1.75 inches and cut it, sliced it in half, and made me a couple scabs here. And these are temporary, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this tube up here, and we're just going to set these scabs because we need to be able to put this in place and know it's in the right spot while we're bending and working on this mouth, where we can put it in and take it off. So there's 90, and then we just go. There it is. Got that? Alright, so now we got some fixture. So now, as we're putting this piece in, we can take it out, drop it in, cradles between the two. I can repeatedly put it in the same place. As we bend this, we work on this mouth. We know exactly where it goes. Then, once we get everything like we like it, we'll just take and start welding it in, and we'll just knock these loose afterwards. And so, let's bend the bar up. So as far as knowing where to bend it, I'm going to measure and make my bend the exact same as this rear right here. But, like, is it 45? Well, I can't tell you if it's exactly 45 or not. I didn't work the math out. It doesn't really matter, because no matter what the angle is, I have to match it. And so whatever that angle is, it has to be, you know, what it has to be in order to match up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tube that's overly long enough, so like this piece right here repeated there is overly long enough, and then I'll turn around and I'll put this bend in, and I'll be, you know, I'll start bending it. I won't go to 45, like I'll go to 22.5, and then I'll just start trial fitting it until the bend gets to the match-up point, and that's it. It's the simplest, fastest way to do it. If I tried to measure it all out and bend to it to start with, what would happen is if I went over even slightly, now I've ruined the bar. I can't get everything to work out, and I'm having to really compromise. And because the bottom is fixed, I can't just move things to make that work. So best case scenario, start the bend, make sure you haven't bent it to the achieved point yet, and then we'll go from there. So we'll show that. I got her bent, I got her notched. Like I figured, I ended up at about 47 or 48 degrees to get this, to get that fit up exactly where it needed to be. And then I went to notching it. I got good fit up, I'm sitting in the cradle. I'm sitting in the cradle here. Everything is good. And this one is ready to go right there. So our driver's side front post here, we've got it in. I wasn't real happy with the fit up to the top to the bottom. When I finally got the mouth right on the top to get good fit up, you know, I didn't get real good solid contact to my position on the bottom, and so I wasn't happy with that. So I took a piece of 1.75 inches and I made a seat, a cup, for it to sit in, where I could get that all good solid welded without having a lot of gap filling on the welding, because that's a no-no in my book. And so I put the seat in, welded up solid on the outside and the inside, and then I turned around and set the bar in and was able to get that exactly where it wanted to be. Really liked how that worked out. And so I was thinking about when we're putting me in the passenger side front down leg, I went ahead and put a seat in because trying to fit this up and rotate it, I'm going to really struggle to get these two mouths on the ends of this tube to work out perfectly. And so I went ahead and put the seat in, got ready for it, set up a fixture across here to get the vertical exactly right, and I've already mocked up and checked my angles on that. So I've got my fixture in place to hold it. Let me show you some detail on that seat there, where you can see what I'm talking about. So this is where I took a piece of 1 3/4 inch, migged it up on the inside and then all the way around on the outside. And so now when I'm working on this, I can focus on getting the tube's mouth right to get good fit up on the halo here. And then I'll just have a square cut on the bottom sitting here. And so any slight movement or anything I need to get the perfect fit up, I'm fine, come around it solid. The other thing I was thinking about is this is a more vulnerable tube as far as crash repair down the road. And that seat will definitely make replacing it a lot easier because I can cut it off and then come back, pull the inside piece out, put another one in. So yeah, I like that. I like that. That's going to work pretty good here. So one more to go. Let's get busy. Okay, so this is 45. It should probably need some more. It's a lot longer top tube. Yep. So yeah, it probably needs at least another, I know I can go 5 more degrees. Let's see where we're at. We'll go 5 and see where we're at. Let's see where we're at now. We don't want to overshoot it if we can keep from it. Yeah, that was 5 degrees and that got me about half of it. That's about 57 right there. All right, that's probably it. I'm gonna cut it with a cutoff wheel because I want to get the angle right as well to start with. This DOM tubing is not inexpensive, and I messed up a little bit. But I really like to not have to redo this again. So let's get it right the first time. Story. All right, so it needs, what does it need? What does it need? I'm just trying to figure out, do I want to cut this back and move up here, or do I want to put more angle in it and attach it right here? I know I'm going to have a bar down right here off the front as well. So I think I would rather have this sitting here. Again, I want to spread this all out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another degree bend in it where it sits here, and then I'll just mouth work it until I can just rotate it into the tube and get good fit up. I think that's a good plan. Again, I have an idea. I have certain things I want to make sure I hit, and certain things, I guess you call it taking, what do you call it? Artistic liberty. Yeah. Of course, when you're just building for yourself and you're not repeating a chassis by design on a fixture, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is I want to be confident in the safety of whatever I do. You know, so it's like, just keep that in mind. It's, when you're doing this, it's, are you going to be comfortable in it? And so that's for me, that's my criteria on every bit of this. So I feel like that it's a safe, workable design. All right? So I'm going to put a little bit more in here. So that's 57. Alright. Felt like that felt like a lot. Kind of going 1 or 2 degrees is a little bit more tricky because you're going more than that because of the spring back. So you're bending it 4 or 5 degrees and then getting your spring back to be at that 1. Oh yeah. And so there it is. So now let's see if I've got a, what do I do with the marker? I need my marker. Thought I had a marker. Oh, I do. I climbed down for nothing. Alright. We're on it now. So in the cradle, there it goes. And then I'm just gonna, my angle of my cut was pretty darn good. I need nothing on the back. Yeah, my angle of my cut was pretty darn good. You get on these long angles and you don't, when you get on a long angle like that, you're not gonna have a whole lot of mouth in it. It's gonna start laying down on the other tube really good. But anyway, trim this out and get that stitched in. That's the last tube. Yeah, buddy. All right, folks, that buttons up this video. 4th tube is in and welded. So the next video, let's see, dash bar in the front. We've got a 3rd leg coming down in the front to the dash bar. So we got a diagonal that goes in on the passenger side. We've got some diagonal and crossbars that go into the rear main hoop. We're going to leave the driver's side door bars out until we get a little bit more cockpit work done because we've got some seatbelt mounts and some seat mounts and stuff. Make it a lot easier to do if I get those done before I put those door bars in. And then beyond that, we're hitting a point where we're going to need to mock up our engine transmission and our headers because of the mounts and everything going on there. And we want our tubing plan to work with that. So that's all coming up in the future on this build. Starting to look like a race car now. Hey, if you like what you see here, hit the like button. Leave me a comment. I read them. I appreciate it. Definitely motivation. And subscribe. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Thank you.